Did Joe Mazzulla just reveal the true identity of the next Celtics enforcer? The Summer League is supposed to be about polish, poise, and precision. But on July 14th, something else broke through the glossy surface of Vegas basketball. It wasn't a highlight dunk. It wasn't a breakout performance. It was a moment of pure defiance. A shove, a second one, and an ejection that shook the court. Jordan Walsh snapped, and Joe Mazzulla loved every second of it. That's not speculation. That's straight from Walsh himself.
And all that. I saw him come over to you after the game. Is there something about it that he liked to see that passion out of you, or is it like it kind of went into the negative side?
Yeah, he told me he loved it. As soon as I got ejected and I got to the locker room, I checked my phone. He was texting me. He was like, "I love this out of you." And so, take that for what it is. But Joe was hyped.
Is that the general feedback they like you?
Minutes after being tossed for back-to-back technicals against the Miami Heat, Walsh checked his phone. Waiting for him wasn't a reprimand or a warning. It was a message from the Celtics head coach that read like a battle cry. "I loved this out of you." This wasn't just a reaction, it was a statement. Mazzulla, the man leading the most talent-rich roster in the NBA, just co-signed the fire. He didn't flinch at the optics. He saw something deeper. He saw identity. But why would a coach embrace a player getting ejected in front of Brad Stevens, Mike Zarin, and new Celtics owner Bill Chisholm? Because Mazzulla isn't just hunting wins, he's building a psychological edge. And Jordan Walsh, a 21-year-old second-year forward fighting for relevance, just proved he's not afraid of the moment or the consequences. This wasn't immaturity, it was intent. And that changes everything. Walsh's ejection didn't come from cheap talk or lazy defense. It came from impact. His first tech was a two-handed shove. His second, a retaliatory push, chest to chest with Pelle Larsson. In front of the decision-makers who hold his future in their hands, that moment, it wasn't recklessness. It was a signal. "I apologize," Walsh later said, acknowledging the front office presence. "That's not really me. I'm more professional than that." But here's the contradiction. That was him. And maybe it needs to be. Because in just 13 minutes before the ejection, Walsh looked like a player no one expected. Stronger, faster, smarter. He dropped 13 points on 5 of 8 shooting, hit a 3, attacked the rim with explosiveness, and showed the kind of swagger that doesn't show up on box scores. He wasn't surviving Summer League. He was owning it. And then, in one boiling moment, he went too far. Or did he? Did the Celtics just lose a hidden gem? Or is Brad Stevens orchestrating something deeper behind the scenes? While most of the NBA world barely blinked when Drew Peterson signed a two-way deal with the Charlotte Hornets, Celtics insiders know there's more going on than meets the eye. On the surface, it looks like a minor roster shuffle, the departure of a fringe player who barely cracked the rotation. But underneath, a quiet move that signals the next phase of Boston's evolving.
Re-signing Al Horford would be a priority. Is that still a priority to you guys at this point?
I don't know what I can say about this or not say about it. I mean, we made offers to both Luke and Al. We would love to have had both of them back. I'd say that's unlikely. And, you know, the only reason I haven't talked about Al is because that's not final. I could probably talk about Al my whole press conference and not say enough. But, you know, I don't want to speak in absolute terms until an ultimate decision is made. But, you know, another guy that, you know, if he were to go and play somewhere else, I think, you know, is an all-time Celtic and, you know, winner and did everything he could for this organization. And you know, not only from the games, but also how he impacted our younger players who, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, now have to take what they've learned from the Drews and the Als and people like that and apply that from a leadership role.
Blueprint.Y would the Celtics let go of a 6'9" forward who shot over 42% from deep? Why let go of a player who, in limited minutes, flashed exactly the kind of size and floor spacing versatility that modern rotations thrive on? Here's where it gets intriguing. This wasn't just a numbers crunch. This was a calculated pivot. Front office, now more surgical than ever, already saw the writing on the wall. The moment the Celtics selected Amari Williams and Max Scholga in the draft, the hierarchy of their developmental pipeline shifted. Williams brings defensive size and rim protection. Scholga offers crafty playmaking and scoring upside. Combine that with Miles Norris, already locked into one of the two-way contracts, and Drew Peterson suddenly became the odd man out. But what no one's talking about is how intentional this all seems. Peterson didn't play in Summer League. That's not just random, that's a sign. A signal that both he and the Celtics knew this chapter was closing. But with alignment. No friction, no fallout, just quiet separation. And who's waiting for him in Charlotte? Former Celtics assistant Charles Lee, now building his identity as the Hornets head coach. And Blaine Mueller, Peterson's former G League coach from Maine, also on staff. That's not a coincidence. That's a relocation by design. A system that understands him. Coaches who trust him. A path to minutes and opportunity. But here's the Celtics twist. While most fans are focused on stars and trades, Brad Stevens is quietly reconstructing the bottom half of his roster with more intention than ever before. You want to know what this really means? It means the margin for error is now zero. The Celtics aren't content being elite. They want to be untouchable. And to do that, they're building a second unit, not with leftovers, but with tailored pieces. Draft picks with specific skill sets. Two-way contracts designed to serve exact gaps. Is Al Horford really done in Boston? Or is Brad Stevens playing a long game no one saw coming? What looked like a quiet summer farewell has suddenly become one of the most emotionally loaded and strategically sensitive subplots of the Celtics offseason. While most headlines focused on J.R.U. Holiday's trade or Kristaps Porzingis' shocking departure, another name has lingered in silence, suspended between legacy and uncertainty. Al Horford. And now, after weeks of speculation and behind-the-scenes whispers, Brad Stevens finally addressed it. But the way he did it, it left more questions than answers. Yes. Stevens named Horford among the Celtics' offseason exits during an interview on NBA TV. And yes, he later doubled down in a formal press conference, saying Horford's return is unlikely. But here's the catch. Nowhere in Stevens' words did you hear a definitive goodbye. No contract signed elsewhere, no jersey retirement, no press release, just silence, careful words, and a curious air of unfinished business. That pause, that hesitation, it means everything. Because what if Horford's story in Boston isn't over? What if this is not a goodbye, but a smokescreen? According to Mark Spears of ESPN, Horford remains unsigned, not due to lack of interest, but due to personal factors. Milwaukee, Atlanta, Golden State, the Lakers all have checked in. But Horford has yet to commit. Why? Because his priorities are shifting. A sixth child on the way. Family time split between Atlanta and Boston. At this stage in his career, logistics and legacy weigh heavier than ever. But here's the twist. If family matters most, and Boston still feels like home, why hasn't he just re-signed? It sounds impossible, even sacrilegious. But behind the curtains of speculation and cap space negotiations, a wild scenario is brewing. Not a rumor, not a fantasy, a path. And it starts with one unexpected twist. Jayson Tatum, sidelined for the 2025-26 season, a shocking blow to Boston's quest for back-to-back championships. But instead of crumbling, the Celtics might be preparing to pivot in a way that could shake the NBA to its core. According to insiders circling the NBA's most sensitive front office conversations, LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers may be nearing a crossroads. Despite opting into a $52.6 million player option, LeBron's future in LA is anything but secure. Why? Because the Lakers seem to be quietly retooling, aiming their future around Luka Dončić in a strategy that whispers rebuild, not reload. So what does that mean for LeBron? One word: buyout. And if that happens, if the King suddenly becomes a free man, don't look west, look east, look toward a team that not only needs a high-impact player, but a team that knows how to win, a team built for the now. A team like the Boston Celtics. Analyst Colin Keane of NEN didn't just throw out a hot take. He laid out a chessboard, with Tatum's absence freeing up minutes and ball-handling duties, and with the Celtics owning one of the most structured organizations in the league, the logic becomes hard to ignore. LeBron would not come to carry a broken team. He'd come to enhance an elite one. Imagine a rotation where LeBron, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, and J.R.O. Holiday share the floor. That's not a retirement tour. That's an all-out Eastern Conference invasion. But let's dig deeper. Why would LeBron want this? Because Boston offers something few other franchises can: structure, coaching, defensive identity, and a window of opportunity where LeBron could rewrite his legacy in a city that once hated him. That kind of redemption arc, that kind of villain-to-hero transformation. It's rare, dramatic, and exactly the kind of narrative that feeds the fire of greatness. And here's where it gets wild. Boston wouldn't even need to gut its future to make this happen. A buyout means no trade assets burned, no future firsts sacrificed, just a calculated signing. Low risk, incredible reward.